Hi, my name's Anna Jane. Welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about my new comic. I am making a comic with a group of artists, including my one really good friend, John Salvino. He is an illustrator. He works with Sumi Ink. He makes amazing ink paintings, as well as he has his own comic called She Walks with the Giant, which I will link below. I actually inked that. He did all the actual art for it, but then I inked it, which was my first real inking job that I ever did for a comic, and it really inspired me to want to keep doing it. Please ignore my cat, Dolly. She is wanting to be with me so bad, and she cannot, leave me alone. She is so desperate for attention. You're making too much noise. Go away. This is Dolly. She doesn't want me to hold her. She just wants me to pet her. So when he and a couple other artists said, hey, let's do a comic book anthology, collaboration, I was like, yeah. Especially when the theme was decided, which was irrational fears. Now, I have a lot of irrational fears. I'm not as affected today as I was when I was a little kid, but I'm still kind of skeezed out by a lot of the things that I was afraid of. And you'll see that or hear it later on in the video. So this video is really going to be a process video showing how I transfer one of my panel drawings onto another piece of paper. I watercolor it because I decided that I really enjoy watercoloring again, and I think the coloring process looks the best, at least for me. So then I'm gonna watercolor it, and then by the end you'll see me inking it. And this is just one panel, so there's actually 6 pages that we each get. It's kind of open form as to whether you wanted to do it like comic book style, or comic strip style, or if you wanted to do more of like a graphic novel style. And I'm kind of going more for that style, in that it's gonna be 6 separate illustrations, full page illustrations that tell us a story. So I think it's gonna work out. I don't want to show everything in this series because I do want it to be a surprise. So this whole series is going to be kind of just giving you a little bit of a peek into the comic making process, as well as listening to my many irrational, mainly childhood fears, though some of them do transfer into my adult life, unfortunately. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I'm sorry that I'm rambling. Hopefully this makes sense, and if it doesn't, please leave a question in the comments below, or just leave a comment anyway, because I really would love to hear from you and see what you guys think about my process. All right, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, I just want to apologize. You might be able to hear my neighbor outside. He's talking. He likes to talk to pretty much anybody that comes by and just tell them his life story, but you know what? I'm doing the same thing here, so I can't really blame him. But yeah, you might hear my heater come on, you might hear him, or any other random noise, so I do apologize for that. Anyway, let's get on with the story. So I have a really strong memory. I can remember things from when I was really little. So I guess it started when I was around 2, because that's when I can remember. I've always been absolutely terrified of taxidermy animals. As an adult, I'm not as afraid of them. I actually kind of like them, with responsibly sourced animals, not just people hunting and stuff like that, but I find them actually kind of cool when they're done artistically, but I like creepy stuff like that. But it only has been within the past probably 10 years that I've been able to start functioning around them. But when I was a little kid, I was absolutely mortified of them. I wasn't afraid of real live animals, but as soon as they were stuffed and on a wall, I was mortified. So my parents, when I was little, especially my dad, he loved to go to steakhouses. So we would go to steakhouses for dinner a lot. If you've ever been to southern steakhouses, and even ones in other parts of the country, they're covered in taxidermy heads, deer, elk, bison, bulls, I mean, everything. And I would be so scared. I would look down and I would cover my eyes on the sides like blinders on a horse. And I would be so rigid and I didn't want anything to touch me. I was like full panic. I would have to like duck down, and as we went to our seats, I would be like ducked down, like hands over my face and just looking at the floor so I could see the next step in front of me. And when we would sit, we'd have to get a booth. I would have to sit on the inside of the booth so that I could hide behind one of my parents, or like the dividers and stuff that they put between the booths, so that I could try my best to like not see any of the taxidermy animals. And we had to sit in a booth that didn't have a taxidermy animal on the wall next to it. And I think a couple times that wasn't possible and we had to sit with one, and I was like very aware of it hanging above my head and was absolutely out of my mind, so scared. And I remember like I would read the like kids menu 1 inch from my face because I refused to look up, and occasionally I would like psych myself out by like slowly raising my head and turning, and I would see one out of the corner of my eye, and then I would just like duck back down. I was so scared. I think I was born anxious. And so I've just always been super stressed about everything ever. And when you're a little kid, I guess the things you're stressed out about are a little bit more trivial. And it kept going into my life. I think my parents thought I'd grow out of it by the time I was like 5 or so, but I didn't. By the time I was 9, my mom and I went on a trip up to Maine to see one of her best friends. We'll call her Aunt Brooke for now. I was up in Maine with my mom, with Aunt Brooke, and Aunt Brooke was such a Mainer. Like, she is such a Mainer. Like, she's like really into the outdoorsy stuff. So she was like, oh, we have to go to the LL Bean store, because LL Bean was originally like a catalog, and I think to the most part still is a catalog company, or I guess they have a website. But they didn't have a lot of stores, and Maine has like this huge one. I don't know if anyone here has ever been to a place like Cabela's, but it was very similar to Cabela's, like outdoor sports place, as well as they sold all of the LL Bean goods. All 3 of us, and I think maybe some of her family, we went, and my mom said to my Aunt Brooke before we got there, hey, are there gonna be any taxidermy animals there? And Aunt Brooke is like total no nonsense. Like, she was like, yeah, and my mom's like, well, Anna Jane is really afraid of them, so if we could just avoid them as much as possible while we're there, that would be good, because she really can't, like, she's terrified, like, she can't be around them. And my Aunt Brooke, I think, was like, okay, whatever, but in her mind was like, oh, this is so stupid, like, she'll get over it, like, she's 9, she needs to like grow up or whatever. So we got there, and they had elevators and they had a staircase. And my mom didn't tell me why we weren't gonna use the stairwell. She said we had to use the elevator, and I was like, okay, whatever. So when we went up to the 2nd floor, we used the elevator. When we first walked in, there was a moose. I don't know if you've ever, I'm sure you know what they look like, but their size, like, imagine the biggest horse you've ever seen and then multiply it by 2, and that's a moose. It was so big, and I was so small. Anyway, so we go up to the 2nd floor via elevator. We're looking around. My mom's looking at, sweaters and boots and stuff. I'm bored. And then I realized I really have to pee. And I was still at the age where I needed to be taken. Maybe not like at a store back home, but at this big store I needed to be taken. I asked my mom, like, hey, can you take me to the bathroom? And she was so enthralled by the sweaters that she was like, no, go ask Aunt Brooke. She'll take you. I didn't like asking her to do things for me sometimes, because she's really sweet, but she's very no nonsense, and sometimes like she would just give me a hard time. My mom asked her to take me. She was like, yeah, come on, let's go. And she's like leading me down the hall, like this big hall, to the top of the staircase. Now, I don't know exactly what's in this staircase. And we get to the top of the step, and it is a spiraling, like, it's not like a spiral staircase, but it's like it curves, but it's very, very wide. And at the top of the stairs, you can look down and see what this staircase is. And it was like this grand staircase. All around the side of it was this huge array, like display of taxidermy animals, from squirrels and birds to wildcats and wolves, and there was even a polar bear. I lost my whole mind. I just stood there frozen solid, like couldn't move. My heart had stopped. I thought I was dead. Like I could not believe what was in front of me, and I couldn't move. And Aunt Brooke, bless her heart, instead of trying to take me like away from the steps and like go to the elevator, she's determined that I go down these stairs. But my eyes have slammed shut. Like they are like locked down. Like there's no opening them. I refuse to admit what is before me. But she's determined that I go down these stairs. So she holds my hand and she guides me down the stairs. She goes, step, 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 all the way down the stairs. And my mom can hear it from up where she is. And she told me later that she heard that and she just went, oh my God, what has she done to this child? It was so, thinking back on it now, that's the dumbest thing ever. But it was so real for me. I was so scared. And the thing is, even now, as an adult, I'm not afraid of them anymore. But there's something about them, especially big ones, that really skeezes me out. Like, I think part of it is like, they're always in this sort of like prowling or almost like attacking position. And I think something deep inside me is like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be attacked. Though I don't know why I felt that way about like heads on the wall and stuff. I think that was just more of like when I was a child. So last year, my boyfriend and I went to Cabela's, which is, like I said, a very similar store to that LL Bean store, but it's here in Pennsylvania where I live now. We were told that Cabela's had really good fudge. It's kind of far from us, but we were near where it was, and we're not usually there, so we were like, okay, well, we'll just stop over there and get the fudge because it's like everyone says it's so good. I mean, this place is even bigger. Like, this place was like Disney World for hunters. And before we like pull up, I'm telling my boyfriend this story I just told about the staircase in LL Bean, and he's kind of laughing and he's like, well, you're not afraid now, right? And I was like, well, no, like I think I'll be fine. Like I'm a little nervous, but I think I'll be fine. And he's like, okay, and he just kind of laughs it off. So we go in and there's a mountain in the middle of this store. There is a literal mountain. They've made a mountain and they've put pumas and sheep, like rams and stuff up on it, and it's kind of spectacular, but really bizarre. They have like a little fish pond with real live fish, which was super cute. There was a bear though, and we had to walk past the bear to go up the steps. And I was like, I walked past the bear, but I was like, I don't like that. And as we're going up the steps, there's like a landing halfway between the top and the bottom where you can just sort of stand and like, I guess, survey the entire area or look at that mountain some more, because it was like the staircase was right around that mountain. I'm going up the stairs with my boyfriend. I'm holding his hand because I'm kind of freaked out by all these animals. And I look to my left and you can see that there's some kind of like museum type section where it's all like forest woodland. Like you can see that they have deer taxidermy animals and other woodland taxidermy animals down that way. And I was sort of like, huh, that's sort of weird. Then I look to my right, and in the same distance, but to the right, there's African animals. Like there's a lion, a taxidermy lion, and that, I don't like that. That freaked me out. I didn't like it. And I like grab onto Matthew, my boyfriend. I grab onto him. And then I see an elephant. They had a whole taxidermy elephant, and my knees went weak. Like I almost fell. Matt had to like pick me up and like grab me because I was so, I wasn't even afraid. I don't know what that, like, it's a very visceral reaction. I don't know why I'm like this. Like I'm not even afraid. And the other thing is I've seen elephants in real life. I've gone to the zoo when I was a kid. I saw elephants. I wasn't afraid of the elephants. I liked the elephants. But when I saw that taxidermy stuffed dead elephant, I thought I was going to pass out. And Matt like takes me up the rest of the stairs to get to the fudge shop. And by the time we get into the fudge shop, I'm stressed out. And Matt's like, he says like, I'm actually really sorry. I didn't know that you would have this reaction. I feel kind of bad. Like I laughed, but you actually seem really upset. And I was like, no, I'm okay. I just wasn't expecting to see an elephant. So we got our fudge, and it was delicious fudge. It was worth the trip, worth the fear. And I don't know why I'm so afraid of them. It is really irrational. I'm not as afraid of them now, as much as that story might say otherwise. But that's really it, and I hope you enjoyed my story. See you at the end of the video. I think the comic will be officially ready by May-ish. That's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for May. So when it's ready, it'll be on my Etsy shop. I'm going to be having new prints of my antique photo paintings and a couple other things to the shop soon. I also got some requests for some cards to put on the Etsy that aren't holiday related. They could be like any occasion, so look out for those. So I've left all my links below, as well as a link to John Salvino's Facebook and Instagram. Please check him out. He's absolutely amazing and one of my really good friends. I hope you're looking forward to the rest of this series. I think it's going to be really fun. I have a few other series in the works right now, so look out for those. Please like, please comment, please subscribe. That is really important to me. And please check out my Etsy shop. That's super important. Even if you don't buy anything, and if you just like me and you want to support my work and you want to give me coffee, or you want to just, you know, pay for brushes or paint or whatever, just send me a tip on coffee. I'll have that link below as well. It's a really great program where you can send me the cost of a coffee, which would be $3. You can send me more than one coffee. It goes straight towards my work. It doesn't just go into buying fun, frivolous things. It goes straight into supporting me in my work. So this is my job. I'm really appreciative for everyone who's viewing, who's subscribing, who's liking my stuff on Facebook, who's checking out my Etsy page, for people who are buying my work. I can't believe that people even love me that much, and I'm so thankful. Let me know what you think of this video. I really want to hear. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you, and that's a wrap. Bye! She won't leave me alone. Let me film. Let me film. Please. Ah! Get close to the microphone. Oh, she touched it. Purr for me. Oh my god, she didn't like that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, she looked at me so hateful. Get out! That's so embarrassing.